Kia ora everyone, and welcome back to Muse, where we're talking with artists and musicians and music lovers about how they listen to music, how they write music, etc. It's just been so fascinating to talk with so many, and luckily today I have a young man called Chris who's from a band called Fistfight. I've seen them a couple of times now at the Ding Dong Lounge when we were all kind of competing against each other, but in a friendly manner at the Battle of the Bands. And their songwriting is... the band's music it's hard to pigeonhole, Chris. So what would you call yourself? What style of music would you call yourself?
What would we call ourselves? We go with acoustic progressive hard rock, I think is what we've settled with.
Yeah, okay. Well, hold on a second. I'll check on this. Do you know the Tea Party? Have you heard of them?
The Tea Party, no.
Oh man, when you finish this episode, go and look. That is going to be your new favorite band. If that's what you like, it's the sort of music you play, you're going to fall in love with them. In fact, I will after this, I will send you a link to the album.
Sounds good.
That is like incredible. But we're not talking about the Tea
Tea
Party.
Party, Cafe Fistfight.
Yeah, man. I think they're from Canada. But anyway, we're not talking about them. What we normally do, Chris, is just, give you a chance to introduce yourself and for you to tell us about where you went to high school and how you got into music and, who are some of your influences and inspirations in getting involved in it. So the mic is yours.
All right. Well, I'm Chris Moutter. I went to high school in New Plymouth Boys High for a couple of years and moved up to King's College in Auckland. However, my music sort of took its foothold in primary school when I was in Maryland's primary school in New Plymouth. About 10 years old, started on the electric guitar. Yeah, and I was introduced to a man named Remo who showed me all I sort of started with on guitar. Started with the old Smoke on the Water, Deep Purple,
Everyone
the
does
classic.
that. Everyone
Yeah,
starts.
everyone does. Yeah, and he basically encouraged me to sing as well, and I started writing songs just of my own accord, really. Just started coming up with the classic ice cream chords.
Mm-hmm.
Wrote my first song called Mr. Jackson about my teacher that I did not like. I'm sure you're a lot better, Ben. He was a very nice man. Yeah, and he just Remo encouraged me all the time to keep writing and keep singing, and yeah.
So did you
took
lock
off from there.
yourself away in your bedroom and just sit there on the edge of your bed with a book and a pen and
I didn't
playing
have
some
to lock
chords?
myself away, man. My mum was always waiting for me to start playing, even if I was crap. A mother loves
Awesome,
it.
awesome.
And so I was always sitting down in our little music room, fiddling different chords out, and yeah,
Singing your heart out.
writing songs all the time. Yeah, so many songs I've written when I was younger that I have no idea what they're like anymore. So many forgotten gems.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
yeah,
I
you
spoke
hang
to you
on to the good.
before about how I'm sorry. There's always this delay with Zoom, so it sounds like I'm cutting in. But there's always this. I've got these books down here which just have like words but no chords because apparently my soul remembers the
Yeah,
chords. But they're funny to go back and look at.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I reused some from when I was about 15 at King's, and I found the same thing. I found the book of words that didn't have any chords, but I remember the chord progressions. The chorus was crap, so we rewrote that.
mhm.
But yeah, that's one of our favorite songs now to play. It's such a cool song.
I mean, that's awesome
Um,
because that's kind of like, you're the atypical singer-songwriter that most kids want to be, like an Ed Sheeran almost. They sit at home with their guitar and they're listening to music and they're writing music and they're, testing the waters. Did you play songs to your mum and dad and ask them for like what they thought?
yeah, definitely for my mum. A lot of the time, she was all about it. So every time I write a song, she's the first person I tell.
Awesome.
And yeah, she's always waiting for the next one. Dad not so much, but he was always supporting the music side of
Fun.
things, paying for lessons and all that. But mum's the real muso of the two. So
True.
yeah,
So here's a funny thing. Back in the day, before like we had cell phones, what I used to do is like this is like 1999, maybe even 98. I used to like we used to get the landline and drag it down to my bedroom, and I'd call up my mate. I'd be like, "Yo, check out this song I just wrote, bro,"
yeah,
and put it on the
I've done
floor. And
this
then,
before.
hey,
Yeah,
bro,
I've done
so
that too.
man, those are the days. And so
And then they're on the other end, just hearing this.
yeah.
What the hell is this?
Well,
Yeah,
then you pick up the phone and be like, "Wasn't that cool?" And then you just hear like
yeah,
crickets.
and they're like, yeah, man, yeah, see it.
So, so what about Rock Quest? Did you ever do Rock Quest or like bands at high school? What was the deal with that?
No, I didn't. I didn't do rock quest. I was in a couple of the sort of school rock bands and that sort of stuff. But I was watching my brother doing rock quest. and always saw them, in my opinion, being the best band, but never really even getting placed. So I didn't like the whole Rock Quest or Battle of the Bands type of stuff really at all. And
Yeah.
I'm still not a huge fan of it, to be honest. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't really like the competition side of music. I like the writing and performing and having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, those competitions are just great exposure. If that's, if I say
Yeah,
anything to
yeah.
my
That's the only
students,
reason we did the previous one with you guys.
yeah, I mean, what we said, I
Just the
always tell my
exposure.
students is just get experience being on the big stage. Because even like today when I spoke with Sophie, we were talking about her experience, and it's like there's a big audience waiting to watch you perform, and getting used to that feeling is something that is worth your time. So that's cool,
Mm.
man. Okay, so let's talk about your band because, to be fair, as I mentioned, you got a lot of fans growing in the scene at the moment, especially in Auckland. People that have seen you guys play live, that acoustic sort of rock-driven stuff. Like your acoustic sounds fantastic on stage. What sort of guitar are you using?
I'm currently using a Fender Telecaster Acoustasonic.
Oh wow,
Um, I can grab it if you like, if you want to have a look.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
pretty cool. It's quite a cool blend of electric guitar and acoustic. You could flick down to the bridge pickup and it sounds just like a tele. Flick it up and it sounds like a big dreadnought. It's really
No
cool.
way.
Such an amazing piece of kit.
So I reckon if you send me a photo of that, then at the end of the videos we discussed, I'll put that
Yeah,
as the very
yeah,
last
we'll do
photo,
that.
and that's really cool.
Sounds good.
And what I
Yeah.
really like about your
Her
guys,
name, her name is Katrina.
Katrina. No, I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever named. I don't think I've ever labeled my guitar. I remember the first guitar I
And
actually purchased was an Ibanez, and the reason I got it is because I was so into Corn, and it was an Ibanez. It was like I need that guitar.
Yeah,
Um,
I know what you mean. My first, my beautiful acoustic, my Taylor 214 CE.
ooh,
Her name is Charlotte.
that's my daughter's name.
There you go. It's a good name.
Good name. So the thing I like so much about your band and your music that I've heard, like as I said, you got a lot of fans. Kev Rowland being one of them. Like he is all over it, man. He writes for music.net.nz. He's seen you many times,
Yeah,
and the thing that I really appreciated about hearing your music and why I want to talk to you is that it's so versatile and it just goes wherever it wants to go. There's almost like there's structure,
yeah.
but there's things happening there that kind of like
Structured chaos.
yeah, it's and the song that I really really like, and we talked about this before we started recording, was "Service with a Smile." To me, that's one of the
Mm.
best debuts I've heard from any band that I'd never heard of before because it's not
Oh,
only does
thanks,
it
man. I
sound
appreciate it.
really good, but it's also just a great song lyrically, emotionally. The breakdown is like neck level. Okay, I did say neck level, students. Um, yeah, talk to me about this song. Talk to me about how you write this stuff, man. I'm fascinated.
Yeah, that song was one of my favorite writing experiences. It was probably the fastest song I wrote, Service of the Smile, but probably the most heartfelt as well. I remember writing it in the dark in my apartment, not this place, um, just sitting there 9 p.m. strumming out this 7/4 riff that I'd just come up with, and I let all the lyrics flow straight out. First thing was, "Hey, like, what am I thinking?" And I was like, "Oh, hey, I like this," sort of little preface to the line, and rolled with that. And it's about the song is about depression and having been through it and showing someone the perspective of someone who has been through it and help them with going through what they're experiencing, basically.
Noble.
So it's all about, it's like, hey, what's on your mind? I've, I've seen that done before. Start again, all that sort of stuff. It's yeah, it all just flew out from one place, and I went lay down in my bed afterwards, put it on repeat on my phone, and had a couple of tears rolling out of my eyes. So cool, man! Such a cool experience.
Yeah, oh, that's incredible. And you know what? Like the thing about that song is those it's like open chords on the acoustic. They're kind of like there's something about open chords on an acoustic guitar that just you can't. It's just
They speak to you.
it's oh dude, because at the end of the day, like folk music, which folk is kind of like a word meaning people, music of the people, right? Like
Yeah,
that's what it is. And so when you hear open chords being
it's
strummed
kind of
like
like a
that,
modern folk rock
it is. Oh, it's
sort of sound in a way.
so here's what I'm interested in, Chris, in regards to how that song came to be. So you hear here you've got the chords, you've got like an idea of the lyrics, they all came out. So how did you take that, and how do you work with your band, which your band's made of three other people, so you got four in your band. How did they and how do you contribute or to write those parts so that like it's like it goes from a chord song to then becoming these intricate parts that are woven all the way through it. Talk to me about that
That's a good
process.
question. I wish I knew the answer to that sometimes, but like the process is basically I write the skeleton of the song. I write it all on guitar. all the sort of chord progressions and stuff that I like, at least for the skeleton, the main part of it, the verse, chorus, bridge, whatever. And I write the lyrics to it, and then I show it to the guys and look at this cool new song I just wrote. And they'll be like, for example, Dan quite often will suggest something like, in the bridge, let's go halftime, which is now why you hear it in halftime. And first of all, I was like, halftime? I don't know about that. But then we tried it, and I'm like, oh my God, this sounds amazing. I love this. My favorite part of the song now. This big open. I chucked in a little extra finger and made it a bit more of a major ring to the chord, the main chord progression. It's so cool. But we all complement each other so well with our writing styles.
How long have you guys been together for? Like played together for?
Jesse, the bass player, Dan, the drummer, and myself have been in bands for about 8 years now.
So you guys all
and we just brought Josh in last year.
And so you guys,
a year ago,
you have that chemistry of like being able to work off each other's parts, right? Like you jam out a
yeah.
song,
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah. We know each other in and out. Yeah, we all jam and vibe like we know each other like brothers, basically. It's awesome.
So like, because this is a really good conversation for me to have with the singer-songwriter types at my school, and probably other schools as well. So do you take like that song and you go to band practice and then you kind of show them the outline of like what it is, and then do you let them have a play around with adding things to it, or do you hear things?
That was the way. Like Jesse and Dan and I, when it was just a 3-piece Cafe Fistfight, without the lead guitar, I always just, hey, look at this new song I wrote, let's all jam it, and they would jam their bits and find their little places for it, and eventually that solidified their parts to the song, which is kind of how I write my songs. I just define the stuff and go with it, and we make suggestions for each other so that it all fits in a nice sort of tight unit. However, Josh would much prefer us, at least me, recording my bit, and then he will sit there and listen to it and figure out what he wants to play without the input of the rest of everyone, and then we'll sort of give suggestions once he's written this bit, which is another great way to write as far as I'm concerned. It's just different from what we're used to.
Okay, so then if you write a part that you're like, this is the part that goes in the song that is, I've written it for a specific reason, does he respect that, or does he like take it and kind of like maybe like it's quite common for someone to augment it?
If he says I should change something that I'm doing, it's usually a small change or something, and I quite often be attested to it to begin with, and then when I really give it a go and listen to it, I'm like, oh man, this is what I want. This is so cool. How could I ever be against this to start with? But you get a little bit sort of attached to the things you write, even if it's just one chord. You can be a bit too attached to them sometimes, and if there's no particular meaning, then like usually my chords aren't there for a particular meaning. They just kind of come about. And if someone has a better suggestion to make it sound better, then let's go for it.
So you know what? I think all songwriters, including myself, I can openly admit that, I've been very stubborn about parts and songs before. Like, it's like, no, it needs to be like this. And it's kind of like it was my way or the highway.
You should see some of our chats, man. Yeah. I've been pretty against some changes before and always look like the idiot afterwards.
It happens, man. It's something that you've got to experience. And when I was at university, I was really lucky to have Dave Rhodes, who was one of the judges there, actually. I asked him to come drum for my EP that we were recording at university, and this is the first time in my life that I'd ever done this. And I said to him, here are my 3 songs. You tell me what I need to do, and I'm not even going to question. You just tell me what to do, and I will do it. It was the first time I'd ever given over complete control to somebody else to kind of produce, and I found that really like such a beautiful experience because he heard things I didn't hear, and it's not until you hear it that you're like, that's better. So we have a rule in our bands now that and I always teach musicians and students this is like, listen to the idea and like be open to the fact that it could possibly be better than yours, and if it is, don't get resentful about it or get angry. Just accept it and like it's that it should be right. How do you feel about that?
This is what I'm learning this now. Like I'm still going through this, but I totally agree. Totally agree. It's, especially over the last sort of 12 months since Josh has been putting in these awesome ideas. It's all, every time I'm against anything, I always feel silly afterwards. We always try it. Everyone will convince me to try it anyway, and I've been slowly letting go of that stubborn behavior and that sort of egotistical, I need to hold on to what I've written. But it's normal, at the end of the day, it's about writing the song that speaks speaks what you're wanting it to speak.
Yeah, and you know what?
So
That's a
yeah.
normal thing to be okay with. Everyone needs to do it. Like, everyone always tells you things, and it's not until you've experienced it that you know it to be true. And that's the most probably important, valuable lesson that you can learn. Is like, I learned that from listening to a lot of, I think really great songwriters about how when they work together with others, it was always the best idea for the song wins. Here's another interesting question I'll throw at you. Then is how do you deal with maybe not necessarily in this band, but let's just talk about your feelings about overplaying. So like, say you bring an idea to your band, and you're like, this is the song, this is how it's going to be, and then people are trying to add things into it that kind of like it's too much for the song. You need to have that balance of space, but also fun to play. What are your thoughts of that?
We just say it how it is. Like usually there's an agreement that one person is trying to overdo it a bit, to whoever that person is. Everyone else is kind of like, I don't know, it doesn't fit the song. Like we all have a pretty good understanding of how the song needs to sound, especially with our sort of cafe fistfight sort of dynamic range that we need to keep intact. We all tend to spot those things pretty well, and the group unanimously decides that we shouldn't be overdoing it, or we're like, hey, let's suggest this, tame it down a bit, keep the same sort of line, but just have less notes, or
Yeah.
just we all tend to agree pretty well on that.
We all have these egos that get hurt when things get said to us, like, oh, that's a really good
Yeah.
thing, but it's just not right. But you know what? One of the things I think is really important for students to understand is that, in your band, they're lucky to have you. I would say, if you don't mind me saying that, to you, kind of like as the leader, if that's what it is, you kind of like leading the band through that process of bringing a song from like a song that was on guitar with chords and lyrics to now fleshing it out.
I write the song for myself, and then I bring it to the guys. I write it for us, but I write it,
Yeah.
on my own, essentially. Skeleton is the song that I've written. I can play that song on my own and never show it to anyone. But I bring them the songs, and we all roll with it. And they write such good parts to it.
Well, that's good.
We all
man.
work as such a good team.
And have you been in situations where you've, like you say, like it, before this, or you worked in bands where kind of you're all sitting around waiting for someone to be the leader for the song, like you're writing a song together. You're like, when you said that you wrote together, there has to be someone that kind of directs the structure to create parts, right? Like, or you have to have strong communication.
I've always kind of been, not necessarily always, but it's pretty much usually just me writing a song and bringing it to the guys. I definitely am like the lead songwriter in a sense, but there were a couple of songs that the other guys had written, and I just kind of wrote lyrics for in previous bands, like our Man Terry's that we were in before. Yeah.
I mean, I always say to people about this, I'm like, go look at Muse's writing credits, and you'll notice that Matthew Bellamé writes pretty much every song, but there's 3 people playing it. So it's like, and that's a really important thing. There's other bands that write songs, and they just all agree to split things equally, even though it's like it's like one person had written the song. Credit-wise, they always split the royalties and writing credits equally, because without those people in that group playing those parts, the song wouldn't be the same as it is, right?
Yeah.
So who are some of your influences that do you think would help shaped your writing style, so that that it's
Incubus
good?
is easily at the top. Incubus is a huge one for me. I've listened to them for so long now.
Virtual high five there.
Yeah. Brandon Boyd is a talented man.
And Mike Inziger on guitar is insane.
Oh yeah. He's a funny dude as well.
Oh, so funny.
But the Incubus, you could probably hear it, and even especially in my vocals and stuff, I think it's fairly well influenced by Incubus's style. But you get things like Carnival, Porcupine Tree, that sort of stuff. That's all kind of that proggy sort of, can be acoustic, but like can go from the sort of chill to crazy all in 1 minute. Yeah, that's we got a lot of influence from that sort of stuff.
I spoke to your drummer, Dan, right? That's your drummer's name? Yeah, we were like, when we were changing over at one of the shows, it's like, you like Carnival? He's like, oh yeah, man, I love Carnival, Steve Jones, man. And I was like,
he showed me Carnival.
Oh man, I found Carnival because Tool hadn't released an album in years, and everyone was still waiting. And someone's like, hey, just in the meantime, go listen to this. And I was like, this is what I've been missing in my life, man.
Man.
Symmetry is a crazy album I still find difficult to enjoy, but Sound Awake is hands down one of the greatest albums of all time.
If you like Tool, you're going to love our next cover.
Good. Yeah, I'm a big Tool fan. We've talked about this on
You got to come out.
other
You got to come out
episodes.
to our next show, Ben.
Yeah,
You're
man.
gonna love it.
Oh, yeah. No, I'll definitely be there. Um, okay, so I think we've covered most things off. I have a couple of questions that I always put at the end. Some of these, basically, one of these is going to be ending up, to become the title of this episode. So just be warned.
Okay.
But here you go. This is one. Matthew, actually from Magnolith and Dimes, kind of like it made me think about rewording this question. So I do now, and that is, give me the name of one album that is really important to you, not your favorite, because that's but just one album, and then I want you to give me 3 words, only 3 words, as to about that album as into why it's the best, and then we can very quickly just go over that. You can just briefly explain those 3 words. So yeah,
That's something I'm not prepared for. The album would probably have to be Morning View by Incubus, to be
okay,
honest.
good.
3 words that describe it, though. That's something else. Oh. Beautiful, peaceful, crazy.
Wow. Yeah, and you know what? Morning View was one of those albums that when it came out, because I found Incubus through Make Yourself, and I would drive around delivering pizzas singing that, and people would mock me at school because they saw me like in my car, belting, and that's because I was just so in love with those songs. But I tell you what, after this, go and put your headphones on and go listen to Blood on the Ground, and listen to how
I do.
those vocals
Blood
are.
on the Ground is like my favorite song on that album.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely. It's the most underrated song, I reckon. I love
agree.
that song
Another
so
virtual
much.
high five, because yes,
Oh,
this is right.
yeah.
This is right. Okay,
And it's such a killer song to drum to as well. Just smacking around on the kit to that song. Mm-hmm.
and he's in drop D, and he's
Give me
got
a drum
these
kit for
really neat chord voicings, because I'm really big on chord voicings. And just
Yeah.
it's really fun to play. Oh man, fantastic album. Okay, here's the last question, and this will become the title of your episode. Give me 3 words that 3 things, 3 bits of advice. Basically using words that you can give to students and musicians that that will help inspire them or encourage them or whatever it is. Just three words to do just that.
3 words.
Yeah, man. Told you. I did warn you.
Does it have to be 3 words?
Yeah,
Can it be a short sentence?
No, 3 words. Should I edit the silence out? No.
No, hell no. It's got to come from the heart.
I like that.
Trust, flow, persevere.
Oh, perfect. I'm going to make sure I write this. Trust, flow, persevere. That's the name of this particular episode that we've had today with
Cool.
Chris from Cafe Fistfight. Some beautiful insight that I think everyone should you go back and listen to multiple times. Man, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise, Ben.
Yeah, make sure you go check their links to their stuff will be down in the description below. Go and listen to them. If you get I'm always one to say go and see them live. It is a completely different experience. So go
We're
watch them
best
live.
seeing live.
Yes, I totally agree. Okay, mate. Take care. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, man. See you later.